Up next is our Clerk of the Court and Comptroller, Cindy Stuart. Y'all give her a warm welcome. She's got a big county to cover, and she's doing it really, really well.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to set a timer for myself because if you don't know me, I'm a politician, and we can talk a lot. So when I get to about 7 minutes, I'm going to sit down. Who in here can tell me or knows or has interaction with the clerk's office? Not all of you. And I guarantee you, all of you have interaction with the clerk's office. Every single one of you. If you've gotten married, if you have a passport, if you have bought a house, if you got a traffic ticket, you interact with my office. That is my biggest problem in this county, is that nobody knows what I do. And I do a lot. We are governed by almost 1,000 statutes in Hillsborough County that come out of Tallahassee and growing every single day. They just keep making my job harder. One came down the other day, Marcy's Law. I can no longer protect victims and redact their information. It's crazy. So if you don't know me, I am Cindy Stewart. I am the Clerk of the Court and Comptroller for Hillsborough County. I am entering my 4th year in this role. I am a previous 8-year school board member, so shout out to my school board member people. Love that job. Love working with Yvonne. Yvonne and I actually started a lot of this work before I left the school district, and it's great to see everything that you've done and continue the work. And now I have the benefit of having her students that she's working with come into my space and do tours. They have been hired into my space. It's been actually an amazing continued partnership, and Yvonne's a great friend. Again, I'm a constitutional elected officer covering the entire county. We work very closely with the other constitutionals in this community. Part of the work that we do, we have almost like 2 sides of the house. We do all of the work on the BOC side of the house. Anybody here with contracts, nonprofits with the BOCC? Who do your checks come from? Me. If you didn't know, I write those checks. We take in all of the payables and receivables for the county. Who has any idea how much money is invested in this county? And who does that work? Me. Almost $9 billion invested in Hillsborough County at the moment. Commissioner Myers left, but we are great friends. We work very closely with the county. Everything that happens in their space, we keep those documents. I have a massive document warehouse out at Falkenberg Road. I need people to work in this space, and we struggle really hard to find people because we probably cover, other than healthcare, we probably cover every degree imaginable that comes out of a college or out of a high school. We have people who work in finance. We have people who work in payroll. We have people who work in the investment side of the house, payables and receivables. Let's shift over to the other side of my house, the court side of the house. Almost every single judge in the courtroom has a person who sits next to them who keeps them, I want to say keeps them in line. They would say that too. I'm not speaking out of turn there. They track and keep track of everything that's happening in that courtroom, from evidence to documents to things that are happening, whether someone's supposed to go to jail or get out of jail, whether someone's supposed to pay restitution or not pay restitution. All of that work happens with my people. If you come into my space and you want to file for divorce, you're doing it with if you're doing it by yourself, you're doing it with one of my staff members at a window where they collect your fee and they work through all of the documentation that you have to have. If you're paying a traffic ticket, a lot of this stuff you can do online these days, just so you know. You do not have to come into my office to do a lot of the stuff. Child support, we handle that too. Again, I could go on for days about the things that we do and things that we don't do. I can tell you one thing, I don't do your driver's license. And I don't hand you a birth certificate. But everything else probably has come through our office. I want to say, too, we have a very unique relationship. The 13th District and Hillsborough County is so unique. For any of you who work across this state, we are so fortunate to be here. I didn't realize when I was a school board member how fortunate we are, but now that I'm sitting in this role, I work very closely with the people in this community, the sheriff, the public defender, the SAO. It doesn't matter what our political affiliation is because we are forced to work together, and that's a very beautiful thing. I work with the county commission, not so much with the city of Tampa, but we do have a good working relationship with them. But we have to be able to resolve problems. We have to be able to work together. In that space, is a very, very diverse community. So I want to talk a little bit about my community, my office. This is the makeup of our office. 690 employees. We actually have about 740 FTEs, so I'm constantly down people, constantly have openings. We have an extremely ethnic workforce, 58% people of color, 22% Hispanic, African American, Asian, and Hawaiian, and largely women who come to work for my office. Our age span and our range of people who work for us are either 1 to 5 years, then there's this big gap, and I have people. I celebrated last Friday night my employee gala, and the number of people who came up and stood on the stage with me who have 20 plus years in my agency is astounding to me. 35, 40-year employees. And I will tell you, currently, and he wouldn't be shy about me telling him this, we had this conversation with my interns yesterday, 38-year employee, he's my chief of HR, he did a year and a half of college. He kept saying, he says, I never planned to make the clerk's office a career, but it's his career, and he is now my chief of HR. Amazing gentleman who does a lot of really great stuff. So recruiting for us is huge. How do we get people to come into our space? Some of our lowest paid jobs are, you can make probably more at McDonald's, although you don't have the benefits. And it's really difficult for us to explain benefits to people right out of high school or even right out of college. It's hard for us to get them to understand what that package means to them. They don't, and I'm going to tell you, you probably know this generation that we are dealing with, they don't care about paid time off. They don't care about vacation time. My staff, most of my staff who are in this next generation coming up, they get PTO and they immediately use it. There's no emergency bank of PTO. My longer generation employees have so much PTO they don't know what to do with it. And the newer staff immediately say, I got a day off and I'm taking it. They live in the now and the here and what's going to happen. Are you all experiencing that? I mean, we have constant coverage issues because I'm like, well, where's that person? We just hired them 3 months ago. Oh, they're on PTO today. What do you mean they're on PTO? The challenges that we've had in recruiting, one of the things we've been using is a work-from-home model because of the pandemic and everything that Lisa talked about. Fortunately, the clerk's office, we stayed open. A court did not, if you had a court case, it did not stop. It might have been on Zoom, but those judges, we are governed by the Supreme Court on that side of the house. We didn't shut down. We couldn't shut down. You couldn't keep people in jail. I mean, they had their own COVID issues. You could not keep people there, so we had to continue working. So one of the things that we've done is we continually survey our employees and the public about how are we doing? What is your service like when you come into the clerk's office? We recently received, and it's part of our recruiting tool package, and I'm very proud, although I didn't have a whole lot to do with it. The Top Workplace program offers a survey type situation where you can engage with them. We won one of the top women-led organizations in this community, so we're very proud of that, along with 8 other badges. Again, people see that stuff and they go, oh, I would think I want to go to work there because that's got that designation. Some of the things that we offer in recruiting and hiring that are maybe different are flexible schedules. Again, a lot of paid time off, holidays off. This is government work, so we take every holiday imaginable. Retention and longevity incentives. LinkedIn Learning has been a huge, huge impact for us that I offer to my employees for free. We do PTO buybacks all the time. We used to just do them in this one little select time of year, and I'm like, why? If our budget can constrain it and people need their PTO and they need to buy it out, let's give it to them. We offer college tuition reimbursement as well. I will tell you, working with Yvonne's team, I just want to tell you this little story about 2 girls from Jefferson who, Bobby Russ is here. He's my community engagement person, and my 2 people from my communications team are here, Carson Chambers and Peter Massa. Thank you all for being here this morning. We have been on some of the hiring events that Yvonne handles and puts on. Bobby Russ's wife has worked for me for 25 plus years. And she interviewed some people for some of our court operations work. And she handles a lot of the domestic violence work that we do. We partner greatly with the Spring of Tampa Bay. And she came to me after interviewing a handful of kids that had been brought to her. And she said, Cindy, I've interviewed a lot of people in my day at this organization, and I have never met two girls straight out of high school that are so prepared to walk into this office. They're still working for me today. They're amazing. This couple went to these girls' graduation. That's how dedicated my employees are to bringing in new people. So amazing, amazing opportunity. The 3 C's of leadership. So I talk a lot about, I'm new in this job. Pat Frank was an amazing icon, still is in this community. Love her to death. But it's hard to follow someone who's been there 16 years. Like, what am I going to do that she hasn't already done, right? We talk a lot about the culture, the 3 C's of leadership: compensation, concentration, and creativity. A lot of innovation in our office. We have to find ways, because of the way our budget works, to do things differently. If you don't know, my budget on the court side of the house is funded by your fees and fines. So the fees and fines that you pay on a traffic ticket, to pay child support, pay to get married, pay to record a deed, that is how my office is funded on that side of the house. A large percentage of those fees and fines never get paid. The criminal fees and fines that are sitting on the books in our offices across this state that do not get paid is amazing. I could do amazing things if I had that money in my pocket. But most of those people will never pay, will never see the light of day of those dollars. So we have to change things in Tallahassee to change that, but that is how that side of the house is funded. So we struggle really hard. So culture is huge in our organization. We have people who, they may not make the most amount of money, but they love working there. And that is so key. I know Lisa talked too about culture. Culture is so important. So important. It's one of my top, how we treat our customers and what our culture is for our employees is so big for us. I can be the boss all day, but if people are not following me, what does that mean? I'm just running by myself. Here are some of the other things that we've done to meet customers where they are. 24/7 hour services. We added, copied from the sheriff's office, I got to give them credit, a bilingual services pay, where we actually allow for an employee to be an interpreter. We have, if you haven't noticed, a large percentage of this community is Hispanic. They don't speak English, and they come into that courthouse, which is already extremely daunting. You got to go through security, and you don't usually know where you're going. And then they come to a window, and they don't speak English, and they don't. It's legal documents. I don't know what I don't understand half of what's in that legal document that they're trying to present. So we have interpreters that actually are within every division that get paid to do the interpretation. And we do that because they have to step away from their job in order to help a customer. But we're customer-centered and customer-focused. We have a huge vendor. One of the first things we did was increase our vendor diversity with small business enterprises, and we're up to 27% of our vendor spending is with SBE, so we're really excited about that. We hosted our first government career fair this past year, so every government agency in Hillsborough County participated, as well as some of the large employers. Some of you are in the room that participated. We intend to do that again next year. Really, really great opportunity for people to just come out and spend some time in the park and talk to employers. We have evening and weekend hours, and we just expanded a lot of the work that we do with domestic violence to 16 locations that domestic violence can be, and again, convenience for our customers. One of the things that I really struggle with in my organization is, and mind you, I'm a politician, but I have an IT background, and people telling me we've always done it that way, doesn't that drive you crazy? There's got to be a better way in some of these things that we do. So we strive to never say that, and we say yes unless it's illegal. So if my legal person says you can't do that, Cindy, then I back away, but most of the time we say yes. So a lot of significance in the clerk's office, a lot of roles and responsibilities. It takes me 6 months minimum to train a courtroom clerk. 6 months. We've been recruiting heavily around the state and around the county. For those of you who don't know, I need finance people all the time. I need payroll people. I need HR people. My HR team has built from when I got there to 3 people. We're up to 12, running an office, including handling all the payroll. We write about 6,000 payroll checks every 2 weeks. You get paid by the county? Yeah, you get that check from me too. So it's a lot of work and a lot of changes that have happened. 90% of my budget right now goes to IT because of all the changes and all the things that we keep in our space. So those are just a few of the things that we have done. I love partnering with Yvonne. If you're not a partner, I encourage you to become a partner. I'm a huge advocate of this work that she does, and like I said, it works for us. We can hire straight out of high school. I will tell you, one of the things we have also done is that whole, Mitra talked about the 4-year degree requirement. We are currently looking at every single job description that we have, and if you can apply or show job skill work that overcomes the 4-year requirement, we waive it. So we're really excited about that. Thank you again for having us. I'm here until the end. I'm happy to answer questions, and we're always hiring at the clerk's office.